Global Deputy CEO and CFO Juvencio Maeztu is no stranger to India, having spent over 6 years in the country to kickstart the global giant's retail operations. IKEA has 2 stores in India now, and more are on the anvil. While retail is the new India opportunity, IKEA continues to build on its 40-year legacy of sourcing from India. Having invested 10,500 crore rupees, IKEA is all set to reveal a fresh India investment plan.
Hello and welcome to Global Dialogues. I'm Shireen Bhan, and joining me on the program today is the Deputy CEO and CFO of IKEA, Juvencio. Thanks so much for joining us here. As opposed to a cold Davos, you're here in a very warm Delhi, but it's great to have you back on the program.
Thank you very much for having me here. And my daughter was, because they lived with me some years ago in India, and they said, how's it going being back to India? And I said to her, it's like being back home, being back to school, but also being back to the future. So I am really happy to be here.
Oh, that's a lovely way of putting it. And I want to unpack each of those things that you attributed to your experience here in India. But Juvencio, before we talk about India, let's talk about what's happening globally today. You just announced your numbers overnight, a growth of almost 6% to about 41.7 billion euros. The macroeconomic environment continues to be challenging. What's the outlook from here on?
Yeah, it is challenging. At the same time, we have decided to have a positive view of the future. That's why we are double down on our sustainability and affordability agenda. IKEA is the right place to come when the conditions are tough, like in the situation we are in, because our affordability, we have reduced prices and we will keep reducing prices going forward. And then, of course, we have worked over the last year on the full omni-channel transformation. So IKEA, people can meet IKEA in many different shapes and forms and 24/7. So it is true that they are challenged, but it is also true that there are opportunities. That's why IKEA, who has a long-term view, it is even more important to double down on the deep belief. And the deep belief is about our vision to create a better life for many people, the importance of the life at home, the importance of affordability, and the importance of being climate positive.
Let's talk about affordability, because as you said, that it is a challenging environment and you're trying to do your best to protect consumers from this inflationary environment. You have brought down prices. How much is the average reduction that we've seen, and what more do you expect to be able to do? And what will that eventually mean as far as margins are concerned? How do you basically protect the business while also protecting consumers?
Yeah, I think it depends on the market, because it depends on currency, on transport, and so on. But overall, we have said we are reducing prices in all the markets where we operate. How much? I think transport cost is coming down, some raw materials is coming down, but at the same time we are building the muscle to secure better efficiency in our operation, so we can actually find also saving opportunities in the way we operate to reduce the prices, because we said that for us, reducing cost is the best driver to reduce prices. That's why, for example, our store today are having not only the function to serve as an inspiration for the people and consumers, it's also fulfillment center to optimize the whole fulfillment and distribution setup. So I think it's the times we're in help us to be much smarter in the way we operate the business. So I think it's a combination of both transport and some raw material going down, but also doing better efficiency.
How much more can you do on efficiencies? How much smarter can you be? And what is the priority going to be in terms of being able to take costs out?
Yeah. I think there is always possibility to improve. Our founder, Ingka Group, used to say, okay, you never give up, or keep trying. I think it's an example on for example, how can we use sustainability not as a cost, but as the new low-cost economy. For example, IKEA is famous for the flat pack. That was invented many years ago. It helped us to reduce the cost, and it helped us to be more climate friendly. The same will happen here. If I take an example, the plant-based bowl food that we are offering, it comes with the same or lower price to consumer, and it's good for the planet. If I take, for example, energy, we have decided to be climate positive, and then we are investing in renewable heating and cooling or in renewable energy. Now you can say that this is helping us to reduce the cost of the energy, because now we produce energy, and that is good for the planet, but it's good. So there's a lot of opportunities going forward.
You know, you speak about the opportunities, and especially about the big transition that you're making to be able to create a much more sustainable business. But let's talk about some of the challenges. We talked about the inflation impact on the wallet of consumers. But what are the other big risks, the geopolitical risks? I mean, today we're talking about an escalation of the conflict between Israel on the back of the terror attack by Hamas. You know, we've already got Russia and Ukraine. Geopolitics, how are you factoring that into your plans?
Yeah, it's first we have to side with the many people, and we have to recognize that many people in the world are suffering. So our heart goes with all of them, of course. Then there are big things going on. So climate change is a big one. So this clock is ticking, and then we cannot deny any longer that. Polarization of the world, both in between countries, but also within countries and between groups. Also inequalities. Both climate change and inequality and polarization are also driving inequalities. So the role we play, companies we play, is not only to do our business, it's how can we contribute to mitigate some of these risks. That's what I strongly believe a company like IKEA, with an affordability agenda to support reducing inequalities, or the way we develop equality, diversity, and inclusion policies to integrate many people, or all the investment we do in climate. So it's not any longer enough to do good. It's also to do well. It's also more important to do good, because it's a time that companies have a big role to play to help to a better society. So it's action speaks louder than words.
Yes, I would imagine that each company and each stakeholder needs to do their part as far as being able to achieve some of these goals are concerned. But Juvencio, let's talk now about India. You know, you've got a long association with India. You've been in India for 40 years. You've been sourcing from India, and now, of course, you're on the path of expanding your retail operations here. I know it's going to be an omni-channel approach for you in India, but when do we now start to see your new centers, Gurgaon, Noida? When do we start to see them come up?
Very good. First, I have to say, it's a long association with India, with IKEA, but also India is emotional for me. After living 6 years, some years ago in India, so I am an Indian ambassador by blood. First, I want to say that first we have delivered what we promised. I came some years ago and I said, we will invest 10,500 crores. We have invested. We said we will source at least 30% local sourcing. We have done it. We said we want to start right with the gender equality, and we want to have 50% women, 50% men. It's 46%, so we need to improve that, so we are proud of that as well. So we can say, first, we have delivered our promise. Where we are now and where we want to go. Where we are now is first, IKEA love India. Second, Indian consumer love IKEA. So it's a good starting point. Secondly, it's a time also to grow. And this is what I find a sweet spot in between IKEA, consumers, and the economy. What do I mean by that? It's a time to grow. In order to grow, what has to happen? First, we have to develop IKEA retail. Secondly, we need to develop availability of certified raw material, because it's not only availability of raw material, certified raw material that can be plugged into global supply chain. Thirdly, it's a time to have international standards, because this international standard will help not only to increase the quality of the product in India, but also to plug into global supply chain and have India as a fantastic opportunity now to be a manufacturing hub for the entire world. So I think time-wise, it's a perfect time. At the same time, we are having a holistic approach. IKEA started, of course, with the sourcing setup, and we have doubled down. IKEA has doubled down the sourcing from India, but also we started with IKEA Retail. Ingka Group has 3 businesses, IKEA Retail, Ingka Center, and Ingka Investment. So we are now investing in Gurgaon and Noida in 2 very big shopping centers, very big, that are coming in less than 2 years now. And at the same
Gurgaon by 2025?
Hopefully, in less than 2 years it will be.
And then Noida?
And then Noida, and then many more. But then at the same time, we have set a global business operation in Bangalore, where we are exporting services, financial services, digital services, HR services, as a hub for the whole big company. Also, IKEA Foundation is also partnering with the government and with many other NGOs. So it's the whole menu of IKEA, because people might see only IKEA blue and yellow stores, but it's the whole menu of IKEA that we are very excited to work together.
So let's unpack the whole menu of IKEA. You said 10,500 crores was the promised investment. You've got a tick mark on that. You talked about 30% local sourcing as the promise. There's been a tick mark on that as well. So what can we now expect? What does 10,500 now become as the future promise to India?
It's in the making. I know that we love to have headlines with the number. It's in the making. What we are doing now, we have said phase 1, phase 2 actually, because we started with the sourcing many years ago. Then phase 1 is the beginning. Phase 2 is the growth and the development. What does it mean? It's in the making because we want to see how can we combine the production possibilities, the sourcing possibilities, with the retail growth. And then at the same time, we are now exploring how can we really go faster and deeper in the markets where we are in India. When we combine these two, then we can come with the right number. It's important to say that for us it's critical to secure that by talking with our suppliers, by talking with the industry, by talking with the government, by working together, we say what are the preconditions that are needed to really support the exports. Because if we don't build economy of scale, we are limiting our growth possibility. And this is exactly what has to happen in the coming months. It's in the making, but we are highly committed personally and the company to India.
A ballpark number, an approximate estimate?
It would be wrong that I say now. Let me
ask you the question a different way. The India business has seen a growth of over 70% in financial year 23, sales of over 1,000 crore rupees. Now, if what's the aspiration of growing this business over the next 5 years? And I would imagine that will link back to the number that you're going to put forward.
I like to say the double thing. We have doubled over the last year. We need to double again and double again and double again. You could say that from the retail point of view, we have been 5 years. Now we are thinking the next 100 years. And then how big is big? Is big. That's why the more we align the retail growth with the harmonized standard to secure export, this is the magic when the two things will work.
So this magic that you talk about, which is addressing the domestic demand as well as being able to scale up the export opportunity, what is getting in the way? What are the friction points that need to be addressed to really ensure that India becomes a larger supplier and is more integrated into your global supply chain? How many certified suppliers do you have as of today from India?
We have 65 suppliers now that are connecting with 5 lakhs of co-workers, of employees in the IKEA supply chain. So it's a big impact today. But first, let's start with the possibilities. I think, for example, the movement done in improving, in raising the standards, in raising the quality standard, I think is actually quite good. Because this will, from the policy development, this will allow really to secure that these standards are good for the Indian consumer, point number one. but it's also is a second language for export. So I see this as a very positive movement, so to speak. Now the important thing is that we go from that level of direction to implementability, to execution, because the important thing is not to have policy. The important is they are very successful. And that's why in the next phase, in order to really secure that implementation is right, when you connect, okay, what do our suppliers need? What do we need to scale this up? And then what is the right international standard? This is the critical step to secure. It's a time now. It's a time for India to really, it's a time for India.
Any specific areas that you wish to focus on to build out the global supply chain? Where you believe India has the advantage? I mean, textiles, etc., has been a long-standing procuring opportunity for IKEA. But outside of the traditional legacy sectors, anything new that you intend to focus on?
First, we have doubled down the sourcing of the last year. We used to do only textile, as you rightly say. Now we have started to export and to produce sofa, mattresses, some furniture, accessories. So now it's becoming more added value, even more added value product. I think the two critical things to focus on, as I said before, first is availability of certified raw material. For example, in the wood, FSC raw material. Because if it is not certified, it will not fly internationally.
Right.
And the second one is that the standards that are required from the Indian legislation are speaking the same language, are harmonized with the international standard. If we focus in these two, there is no reason why we should not keep growing. So this is the sweet spot.
So, from where you are today in terms of sourcing from India, given all the opportunities that you see as well as the harmonization that you speak of, what could that number look like over the next few years?
Big. But it will be, no, it is true, because...
So what's the value as of today?
I think it's more than 5,000 crores or something like that. It can double and double and double again. So I don't see, seriously, I don't see any limit. I don't see any limit. There is a lot of opportunities, and we need to secure the gearbox. It's in the gearbox that it will happen.
You said India clearly seems to be a land of limitless opportunities for you, but I want to go back to what you said at the very start of the show. And you said this is also like getting an education here in India. What's been the big learning? What's been the big lesson for IKEA from India?
First, India makes you more humble. You come with a lot of preconceived, and then you are here, and I had I feel very grateful that I had the possibility to live and to experience India for 6 years. But I would say hardware lessons and software lessons. From the hardware lesson is how do you operate the business? How do you partner? We are partnering with companies, and we want to partner. We want more partnerships with many Indian companies. How do you become more relevant? In the range, we have range here that we don't have elsewhere. In the low price point, we have prices here that we don't have elsewhere. This is a lot of learning for the big IKEA, because if we can make it in India, we can make it everywhere. And this is more from the hardware perspective. But there is a lot of big learning. It's in the software, in the more purpose-driven. India is a purpose-driven society. We are a purpose-driven company, and there is a lot of purpose in India. So when you take decision for global, and when we take in the board of directors many decisions for not only for India, but for many other countries in the world or for the organization, there is an amplification of the purpose dimension in the way decisions are taken. And this is a perfect link in between what IKEA stands for, culture and values, but also what India stands for, cost consciousness, the importance of family, the importance of togetherness. So this is a lot of soft and unconscious influence.
you know, I would imagine there's plenty of that unconscious influence as well. You know, but what's the influence, given the India experience, on how you intend to digitize for the future? I mean, online sales today are, what, at 26%?
Yes.
It was 25% last year, so you're moving higher. Yes. But on the digitization front, what's the India influence?
Very good. I think two things. Online is 26%, 25% globally, but also store visitation has increased by 7%. Because for us, we are transforming the whole IKEA globally. And then for us, transformation is not 180 degrees. It's about the polarity between loving the past and creating the future, which actually is very connected with India. How India is transforming, but at the same time keeping the roots. So in that sense, it's digital, but also it's the role of the store. That's why we are developing omni-channel business. More specifically on your question, now we have IKEA is meeting customer on the digital side today more often. And now India is a digital savvy country, of course. We have set up a digital hub in Bangalore for the entire world. So this is a way that we are developing things in India that are being implemented in India and elsewhere. Is the new development of the app for the future. It's the new development of making a seamless and fastest shopping process. It's a way you can use your phone to get 3D designing for your home. So there is a lot of development in that area as well.
Yes, so digital hub in Bangalore that's feeding IKEA's global operations. You know, one of the things I don't think people notice or perhaps are aware of is how integral food is to the IKEA story. I mean, meatballs is a whole business for you. What's the India equivalent for you on that front?
India love food and India love IKEA food. 99% of the food we sell in India is locally sourced. So it's a love story, actually. Price point is amazing. The price point of the samosa, of the ice cream is 10, 15 rupees. So it's fantastic. But also is the plant-based agenda. We are growing more than a third of the food is plant-based, and it will grow to 50% plant-based bowl. So it is same or lower price and much lower climate footprint. So that merged very well with India. And then at the same time, it's not only IKEA customers who are hungry. It's also IKEA food is a visitation driver.
Yeah, you're running a food business.
And then sometimes they buy furniture.
And also, exactly, and also home furnishing business, but you're also running a massive food business.
It's the fun day out, you know. It's about people can have access. That's what we are developing both. It's not only shopping online. It's an experience. It's a fun day out. You get inspired. You go with your family. You touch and feel. We don't sell product. We sell dreams, needs. We solve the solution to solve the dream, needs, and frustration. So when you go to the store, you meet dreams, and then you find solution for your frustrations. And then at the same time, fantastic family day out.
So samosa or biryani, which one do you pick?
You know. Or
meatballs.
No, but you know what? It's. I was talking with a friend of mine that what is in my top 10 of food in the world. I travel to many countries in the world and so on. 3 of them are in India. And the one that maybe surprised you the most is my top one is dals in a very small, a bit crappy place, walking distance from the Golden Temple in Amritsar, 100 rupees in this metal plate, wasn't your hell? This is my top number one.
So the Amritsari dal is your number one food item on your menu.
On your menu.
Well, that's great to know. But you know, you're celebrating 80 years of IKEA's legacy. You said the challenge today is how you take the past and merge it with the future. If I were to ask you about the innovations that you would like to focus on, given the fact that sustainability is not just a sort of good to do, but is really core to your business strategy, how do you see IKEA changing?
Yes. And we are celebrating 80 years, and we are also the first generation of leaders who are leading IKEA without having the joy of having the founder with us. So it's a double extra responsibility, leading the future, but leading the future ourselves. I think the core of the innovation is when sustainability is not only a cost, it is actually the new low-cost economy. Sustainability is the new business model, and then it is the new competitive advantage. We have started to have some example in investment we have doing, for example, in plastic recycling, in recycling mattresses, where we are connecting everything to the IKEA supply chain, and it's lowering the prices. So the more we integrate sustainability and affordability, these two, I think it will build the new business advantage. You could say it's good business to be good business.
It's good business to be good business. And thank you again for a fabulous conversation, Juvencio. We wish you the very best of luck here in India with your plans. And we look forward to that big number. The big reveal is still expected. But
I will be back with that.
We look forward to hearing more from you. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Sherry.
Well, that's it then on this edition of the Global Dialogue. From all of us here on the team, many thanks for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC TV18.